Okay, this is called the Shepherd of Hermas, and what I'm going to do is just highlight some key verses. But this is a great book to read. Um, so, um, this says, this is the section 2 of the commandments. But it says, first of all, believe that there is one God who created and finished all things and made all things out of nothing. He alone is able to contain the whole, but himself cannot be contained. Therefore, have faith in him, and fearing him, exercise self-control. Keep these commands, and you will cast away all wickedness from yourself. So basically it says exercise self-control. This means don't sin. This means don't have sex. This means keeping what he has said. Um, it says also be simple and guileless, commandment 2, as the children who do not know the wickedness that ruins the life of men. First then speak evil of no one, nor listen with pleasure to anyone who speaks evil of another. But if you listen, you will partake of the sin of him who speaks evil, and you, if you believe the slander which you hear, for believing it, you will also have something to say against your brother. Thus, then you will be guilty of the sin of him who slanders. For slander is evil and an unsteady demon. Um, so it never abides in peace, but always remains in discord, and keep yourself from it. And you will always be at peace with all. God gives you, give to all needy in simplicity, not hesitating as to whom your gifts are to be shared among all. In other words, you're supposed to share no matter what. I mean, it says to give all that are needy. They who receive will render an account to God why and for what they have received. For the afflicted who receive will not be condemned, but they who receive on false pretenses will suffer punishment. So commandment 3, it says, love the truth and let nothing but truth proceed from your mouth, that the spirit which God has placed in your flesh may be found truthful before all men. The Lord who dwells in you will be glorified. So it says speak truth, in other words, no lying. Always tell the truth. The Lord is truthful in every word, and in him is no falsehood. Therefore, they who lie deny the Lord and rob him, not giving back to him the deposit which they have received, for they have received from him a spirit free from falsehood. So if we lie, we create falsehood. We're not to do that. So just don't. Because Lord, I never spoke a true word in my life, but have ever spoken cunningly. Okay, so basically Hermas is talking about himself. If you keep these precepts from this time forward, you speak nothing but truth, it will be possible for you to obtain life. And whoever will hear this commandment depart from that great wickedness, falsehood will live in God. I charge you to guard your chastity, and let no thought enter your heart of another man's wife, of fornication or similar iniquities, for by doing this you commit great sin. God in his word does not once say to marry a divorced woman. He gave Moses the power to divorce women because they wouldn't listen and wanted to do the wrong thing. And it says if you marry a divorced woman, you have caused adultery. So, and it says guard your chastity. Chastity is another word for virginity. So you're supposed to guard it. You're not supposed to have sex, not even remotely going into that at all. But if the husband knows that his wife has gone astray, and if the woman does not convert but persists in her fornication, and yet the husband continues to live with her, he is also guilty of her crime and share in her adultery. So basically, it says here that if the woman doesn't confess that she is fornicating, and he goes along with it, then you're creating more evil for yourself and sinning. The husband should put her away and remain by himself. But if he puts his wife away and marries another, he also commits adultery. And this is also in the New Testament. What if the woman put away should convert and wish to return to her husband? Will not she be taken back by her husband? The husband does not take her back, and he sins and brings a great sin on himself, for he ought to take back the sinner who has converted, but not frequently. So you can take people back. It says, if anyone persists in such deeds and does not convert, withdraw from him and cease to live with him. Otherwise, you are a sharer in his sin. Therefore, remain by yourselves. And it says up here, and I also underlined this. I'm trying to just kind of do highlighted things in here. It says, I should do that Lord, that I inquire carefully into all things, especially because I am a sinner, that I may know what works I should do, that I may live. For my sins are many and various. And he said to me, you will live if you keep my commandments. And that's all throughout the New Testament and Old Testament. And it also says in John, it says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And there aren't just two commandments. It's not to love your neighbor and to love God. There are lots of commandments that we are to abide by. And it's to not joke, not jest, not no anger, no malice, there's a whole long list. But those are just a few. And I heard, Lord, some teachers maintain that there's no other way. Okay, I'm going to skip that part. For knowing. Okay, so this is Commandment 5. I'm trying to go through this and just show you highlights of this. Be patient and of good understanding, and you will rule over every wicked work, and you will work all righteousness. For if you are patient, the Holy Spirit that dwells in you will be pure. He will not be darkened by any evil spirit, but dwelling in broad region. He will rejoice and be glad with a vessel himself. But if any outburst of anger takes place, immediately the Holy Spirit, who is tender, is troubled, not only not having a pure place, and he seeks to depart, for he is choked by the vile spirit, and cannot attend, for the Lord, as he wishes, for anger pollutes himself. For the Lord dwells in long suffering, but the devil in anger. So you're basically battling two spirits. You're battling the godly spirit, and you're battling the devil. The devil is conflicting with, and so anger causes this. The two spirits then, which dwell in the same habitation, or discord with each other, are troublesome to that man in whom they dwell. You see then that patience is sweeter than honey and useful to God. The Lord dwells in it, but anger and bitterness is bitter and useless. Now, if anger is mingled with patience, and patience is polluted, and it's prayer to know the power of anger, that you may guard yourself against it. He said, if you do not guard yourself against it, you and your house lose all hope of salvation. Guard yourself, therefore, against it, and all will depart from. Hear now how wicked is the action of anger, in what way it overthrows the servants of God by its action, and turn them from righteousness. But it does not turn away those who are full of faith, nor does it act on them, for the power of the Lord is with them. It is the thoughtless and doubting that it turns away. But patience is great and mighty and strong, and calm in the midst of great enlargement, joyful, rejoicing, free from care, glorifying God at all times, having no bitterness in her. Be patient. I know that's easier said than done, because there's a lot of things that I wish would come, and patience is not, especially in our day and age, it's like, we want it now! He withdraws from the man in whom he dwelt. The man is emptied of righteousness spirit. So, sorry, I'm scanning what I should do next. Okay, so I'm going to skip to commandment 7. It says fear. Fear, he said, the Lord, and keep his commandments, for if you keep the commandments of God, you will be powerful in every action, and every one of your actions will be incomparable. For fearing the Lord, you will do all things well. This is the fear which you ought to have, that you may be saved. But do not fear the devil, for fearing the Lord, you will have dominion over the devil, for there is no power in him. And fearing the God is knowing that if we sin against God, we are, because it talks over here about how anger and everything can push out the Holy Spirit. This is also grieving the Holy Spirit, and I don't think it has talked about it yet, but there's a commandment in here that specifically talks about grieving the Holy Spirit. It's when we aren't patient and have anger and all this strife going against us, the bitterness and whatever, it grieves the Holy Spirit. And so there is a Bible verse that specifically talks of grieving the Holy Spirit, and it's anger that pushes them out. So we want to have no part of it. And we drive out anger when we forgive and forget and move on. But if you hold on to anger, it'll just rip you apart. And each day here, I mean, the devil has been very relentless lately. So it says, for fears are of two kinds. For if you do not wish to do that which is evil, fear the Lord, and you will do it, and you will not do it. But again, if you wish to do that which is good, fear the Lord, and you will do it. Therefore, the fear of the Lord is strong and great and glorious. Fear then the Lord, and you will live to him. So it says, and then down here, commandment 8, I told you that the creatures of God are double, for restraint is also double. For in some cases, restraint has to be exercised, others where there is no need of restraint. Make known to me, Lord, I say, in what cases restraint has to be exercised, and what cases it does not. Restrain yourself in regard to evil, and do not do it, but exercise no restraint in regard to good. So basically, we're to restrain ourselves and not think of it, and we're to restrain ourselves and not do the evil that can trip us up, but we are not to restrain ourselves when it comes to good. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. I'm trying to find that. Okay, so many of them from which the servant of God must restrain himself. So here is a list of things that we're supposed to restrain ourselves: theft, lying, robbery, false witness, overreaching, wicked lust, deceit, vainglory, boastfulness, all vices like to these. So if you're doing any of these, overreaching is basically overstepping your bounds, doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing, overreaching powers and that type of thing. And it says, do not think that these are really wicked. It's exceedingly wicked in the servants of God. From all of these, the servant of God must restrain himself. Restrain yourself then from all these, that you may live to God. But listen, he said, to the things in regard to which do not have to exercise self-restraint, but you ought to do. Do not restrain yourself in regard to that which is good, but do it. The nature of the good deeds, that I may walk in them. Listen, first of all, there is faith, and then fear of the Lord, love, concord, words of righteousness, truth, patience. Than these, nothing is better in life of men. If anyone attends to these and does not restrain himself from them, he is blessed in his life. Then there are the following attendant on these: helping widows, looking after orphans and the needy, rescuing the servants of God from necessities, for being hospitable, for in hospitality doing good finds a field, never opposing anyone. Then the being quiet, having fewer needs than all men, reverencing the aged. In other words, taking care of them and actually listening to them and being around them, practicing righteousness, watching the brotherhood, bearing insolence, being long-suffering, and encouraging those who are sick in soul, not casting those who have fallen into sin from the faith, but turning them back and restoring them to peace of mind, and admonishing and restoring them. Do these seem to you to be good? So, I mean, this is a back and forth conversation between God and Hermas. Put away any doubting from you, and do not hesitate to ask of the Lord, saying to yourself, how can I ask of the Lord and receive from him, seeing I have sinned so much against him? Do not thus reason with yourself, but with all your heart turn to the Lord and ask him without doubting. This is also mentioned in the New Testament. It says, do not doubt, and that doubt can make us do. When we doubt, that we're like a ship on the wind-tossed ocean. And it says, don't doubt. And you will know the multitude of his tender mercies, that he will never leave you, but fulfill the request of your soul. For he is not like men who remember evils done against them, but he himself does not remember evil in his compassion on his own creature. Therefore cleanse your heart of all the vanities of this world, from the words already mentioned, and ask of the Lord. You will receive all, and none of your requests will be denied, which you make to the Lord without doubting. But if you doubt in your heart, you will receive none of your requests. For those who doubt regarding God are double-souled and do not obtain one of their requests. But those who are perfect in faith ask everything, trusting in the Lord, and they obtain, because they ask nothing doubting, and not even double-souled. For every double-souled man, even if he converts, will be saved with difficulty. Cleanse your heart, therefore, from all doubt, and put on faith. So it says, do not doubt. So I'm going to stop it there because this video is getting long. But I'm going to keep going with another video and go into more of these commandments that I have in another video. So thank you for joining me. God bless you all.